anyone who's interested in natural resources or ecology, biology, geography, geology, anything like that, there is so much to study on this trip that can really enhance your education.
It teaches you things that you don't really realize that you need to learn. Things like how to listen and how to observe.
For me, it's the quiet, it's the vastness, it's the storms, the way the wind can suddenly come up, the way the light changes all the time throughout the day. It's the coyotes howling at night, the song dogs. And a big part of it is the toughness of the life that lives there. It's motivating. I mean, if some little flower can make it, can't I make it?
Learn through experience is, just an important way to really complete your education. And going to the, Mojave Desert and Death Valley is just such a great way to make that happen. And a great pathway, is provided by CSU Stanislaus.
We call it Death Valley landscapes, and landscape has the connotation of the geology, the processes that climate has on the land, and then the imprint of life on the land, nature and what it does, and then humans on the land. So it weaves all those together. That's what landscape means to a geographer.
It really does set CSU Stanislaus apart that they have this week-long field class in Death Valley. And the breadth of information we covered, it wasn't geology specific or biology specific. We studied everything down there, and we had these amazing resources in Dr. Bowers and Dr. Bowen, where we could ask any question and get a good answer.
Before I came to Death Valley and after I left Death Valley, I felt there was a tremendous shift in my understanding of geology and geomorphology and climatology and a lot of those things. You're just able to put the pieces together a lot better there. It's a lot more in your face. It's a lot more vivid. And if you're studying it and then you're there experiencing it, when you're already thinking about it and then suddenly it's there and you can see it happening, I mean, it just everything clicks, you know, it just comes together.
I don't particularly remember the first trip because it was about 32 years ago. And I had been mostly involved in Indonesia, and I still wanted to get my students involved in Indonesia, and eventually did. But in the meantime, one of my students said, "Oh, you ought to take a field trip to Death Valley. It's just absolutely incredible." Now you have to picture, I'm from Michigan, so that's a humid continental climate, 4-season, you know, beautiful green trees, everything, snow. And he wants me to go to the desert, and I'd never been there. So I went. We took a trip there, and I was won over. Just like that. Because the desert is just magic. It's so quiet, and it's so vast. And so I thought, okay, now I can't always take my students to Hawaii. I can't always take them to Indonesia. It's going to be too expensive. So what about a close-by field trip where we could stay in the field, not just go for a day, but stay and really learn? This kind of situation becomes an opportunity to say to the students, okay, look, we don't have money to do this, so how can we do what we need to do? How can we figure out a way to do it? Maybe we can't get any government grant. There's got to be another way to do it. How do we do it? And so it's because you really learn from challenges. You really learn from solving problems in a group. And so this is a problem. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy for any of the profs, for the administrators or anyone else. I know it's hard. But somewhere that determination to teach has got to come through. Well, I think it builds confidence in them, for one thing. They feel more confident that they can go out and learn for themselves. I think that's a big part of it. They feel more equipped to go out and begin to analyze and maybe even do research and write about areas that they see. I think that's a big part of it. When you just learn from books, you don't necessarily feel that you can begin to do this. But once you've gone out on field trips, you just say, hey, okay, here we go. And the goal of the course is the major goal is to show anybody who comes with us that the desert is not just a dry, hot, barren place, that it has so many different environments. Upper canyons, lower canyons, springs, sand dunes. Each canyon is different. Each canyon. I could have done a lifetime just hiking the canyons in Death Valley because each one is different. So that's what we want them to come away with is, you've barely scratched the surface by being here. There's so much more to see and to learn.